Hello, everybody. I'm Pasha Marlowe, and this is the Neuroqueering Podcast. And I'm here today with a guest. KJ Kelsch is a neurology-focused mobility restoration specialist and strength coach based at J Bodyworks in San Francisco. They're passionate about helping queer, trans, non-binary, and neurodiverse people of all stripes embody their superpowers through therapeutic, empowered movement. How can I not want KJ on this podcast to establish why neuroqueering is so important? I can't wait to neuroqueer with you today. KJ, hello.
Yeah. Thank you, Pasha.
We've determined we're both theater geeks in our past.
Yes. And this colors the way that we talk to each other. And anyway, thank you so much for having me on neuroqueering. This is such a delight. I am so excited. And this is like exactly what I do, like
yes.
in the world. So I'm excited to actually talk about it.
When I heard about your specialty, I got all lit up because I think it's so needed. And I think it's I don't hear about it a lot. So well, tell us how you came to your work real briefly, and then also how you feel neurodivergence manifests in the body. Just in like a minute, could you wrap all that up? Would be good.
Yeah, let me just try. Can you set a timer for me, please?
Yeah.
So my journey to this work really began with myself. You know, I started getting serious about my health and like what works best for me probably about a decade ago. And then I became a personal trainer, cut my teeth in the fitness industry, and then I found the specialty of applied neurology, and through Z Health. And then I got a job at J Bodyworks, this studio in San Francisco that I work for with. And, you know, I have, and so I've been getting into this like brain focused way of looking at movement. So it's not about really you know, the push-ups and pull-ups and the like go hard or go home, right? It's about okay, are you in pain? Can we get you out of pain? Can we prevent that pain from coming back? And that's all based in your brain, right? And so that is so easily applied to, you know, across the neurodiverse spectrum. And so what it allows me to do, I realized, was to help more people, because with a brain focused approach, you can really drill into the individual nervous system of a person, because my job as a coach or, you know, whatever, is to calm down that nervous system. And so you have to look at all of the factors in play, right? So it really reinforces, this approach really reinforces the fact that humans are a system of systems. And so what might manifest as a biomechanical problem might actually be something emotional or psychological or rooted in trauma, or there are a whole bunch of different ways that you can look at it and attack it, and then work with the person to solve it. So yeah, I've been practicing there for just over a year now, and I love it. I feel like I've been able to really make a difference in the quality of life in the people that I work with, and I work with so many different kinds of people. And they're all brilliant in their own way. And, you know, it just kind of reinforces that, like, once you start to change the map, you can change so much, actually. Like, we're in much more control than we actually think we are. And we have just learned how to fit ourselves into boxes and to settle for discomfort and pain and all of these other things that we've been told we need to live with.
Yes.
And so like I use movement to get at that sort of deeper truth.
I appreciate that part of your work is to calm down the nervous system. That's so radically different from the training I had in exercise and personal training. And it's just, I love that you're bringing that in, as well as it wasn't so long ago that I learned that neuro didn't mean brain, that neuro is nervous system. And so this idea of us being a brain, body, mind, nervous system, of course, embodiment is so important. So how do you see embodiment through the lens of neurodivergence or vice versa?
Uh, well, I mean, I don't think you can separate. I mean, I think that the most insidious tenet of Western philosophy and medicine is that the mind and body are separate. They are not. They communicate constantly, right? Like your brain gets information from your visual and vestibular and proprioceptive systems, and it's trying to process it, right? And you know, with the higher processing speeds of neurodivergent brains, right? Essentially, it shows up in different ways, right?
Okay.
But for me, embodiment really means like being here now as you are and being able to navigate your environment in the way that you want to, the way that you choose, and to do that authentically as yourself. And I think that, you know, we live in a world where many queer and neurodiverse people have been told that their way of being in the world and their way of moving through the world is wrong. And I am here to tell them the opposite, that it's that actually it's not wrong, that you should move the way that your body craves to move, because that's the way that you are able to then interact with your environment in the way that you want.
Yes. And so you start feeling safe with your body and at home in your body, and then you unmask and you go out into the world with loud hands and stimming and for me a lot of wiggling and teeth grinding and nervous laughing. And so how do you help people through the stigma and the pathologizing of stimming?
Well, stimming in particular, I mean, what that is that's short for self stimulation, right? You're trying to self regulate, and your body is doing the things that it knows, right? Because your body is smart. And I think many of us have the experience of living up here, right? Living up kind of in our heads, and then our bodies being a thing that we just kind of it's secondary, right? And so it's about like really acknowledging the truth of your body, that you deserve to be comfortable. And sometimes being comfortable means doing the things that make you comfortable, which means like it might mean saying a phrase, echolalia, saying something that you heard just now, or humming, or rocking back and forth, or pacing, you know, however it is that that in a certain situation or an environment is going to make you more comfortable, as long as it's not like actively hurting somebody else, which normally it is not, right? It just is making a few people uncomfortable, maybe. You know, that is okay, and you will feel better ultimately after you do it. You know, and that the way that you might have been told you were wrong because it's like not appropriate or not the right time or whatever, that's a box, that's a story, that's that's something that you can question. You deserve to, and you deserve to feel comfortable in your body and in your surroundings.
And that narrative starts, I'm sure, very young with kids in school to sit still or to keep quiet,
to pay attention, to, you know, do something that you're forced to conform, right? And that conformity and the degree of masking has shaped the way that you now interact with your environment, and that is traumatic. And like some people, like my whole masking thing was being able to dissociate, right? So like I still have trouble like understanding hunger cues. I have to eat on a schedule because I can't tell when I'm hungry. And sometimes my partner has to be like, hey, the world isn't ending. Actually, you're just hungry. You're not going through an existential crisis. Just like eat something, you'll be fine. you know, um, and so just in terms of practical like ways neurodivergence can manifest in the body.
Yes.
We're talking about things like joint hypermobility, which
Mhm.
is something that's pretty common that people talk about. Something
Okay.
that's less common to hear about is muscular tensile strength. So overall, just kind of a looseness, right? There's also a discrepancy between hyper and hypomobility in the same body. So like you might have really loose shoulders that you can like dislocate on cue, but you might have really tight hips or which is also common in neurotypical people, right? That's how the body compensates, but it's the degree to which that's the difference is what is notable in neurodivergent people.
Yes. And I'm thinking about that I might be perceived as loose and fluid, but that I hold so much tension in my jaw, but that's something internal so that nobody sees it. So I'm trying to hide that, but there is tension. It's just not visible tension.
But you might also, because of that tension in your jaw, you might also have, neck tightness.
Yes.
You might also have, going on down the chain. It might go all the way down to your ankles. It might be a back force transmission issue. You might have, an issue with your gait because of the way that your neurology presents itself. You can see a lot in the way somebody walks, for example. So, it all, and again, just to be clear, not every neurodivergent person has all of these issues or any of these issues. Some neurodiverse people are very athletic and can move very well. Like thinking about Simone Biles, who, the reason that she had to drop out of the Olympics was because she couldn't take her ADHD medication. And ADHD can be associated as comorbid with vestibular issues. So she was getting the twisties because she couldn't take her ADHD medication.
And why couldn't she take her ADHD medicine?
Because it was illegal in Japan.
I had no idea that aspect of the story.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, of course. If that's what her body was used to and accustomed to. My goodness. Okay. And so this is an emotional process you bring people through. And so I'm sure there's so much safety and trust and rapport that needs to be built before you could do this embodied work. How do you establish that space?
I mean, it's different for everybody. I think it's really being able to listen to and believing them when they tell me they're in pain and what they've been through. It's also being able to like deliver results and for them to see change, because there are two kinds of change, right? There's instant change and then change that happens over time. And change can happen at the speed of the central nervous system. And so, and that is a neutral fact, right? That could be positive or negative. And normally we associate that with trauma, but it can be the opposite. It can be also healing. Being able to like look and see what's missing, put that in place, and then for them to see the result, even if the effect is temporary, like only lasts a few hours, but then they can do the drill again. And then it's like, and then the effects will come back. Right. And so after enough repetitions, what has started as novel becomes the default.
Okay. And then for those listeners who want to start a practice of embodiment and start unmasking, and hopefully they reach out to you, but is there something they could do on a daily basis, something tangible and easy to understand, a take-home assignment?
I mean, I think finding things in your day that bring you joy, whatever that happens to be, right? So but also making sure that you are getting enough rest.
Yes.
Because I tell you, because literally, like, most people come into my studio and I ask them how they've been sleeping recently. And many people will tell me, not great, you know, and without sleep, not like sleep is the reset button. Sleep is the regenerator. Sleep. And if you're not getting that, then you can't then nothing else is really possible. Right.
Right. So we start there.
Start there. So that means that you have to start with rest. You have to start with accommodating yourself in that. Like, how much recovery do you actually need? Right. Because we often think about it as the opposite, right? Like, how much work can I do before I burn out? Right. So, but the question is actually, how much recovery do I need for the hard work that I'm doing? Yes. And for neurodivergent people, that is double time, right? Because you're masking, you're doing all of it, you're putting out all of this extra energy to engage in a way that is, normal.
Yeah. And sleep does not come easy for neurodivergent people. There's a lot of ruminations, and we're active in our minds and bodies, and
and so just finding things that will relax you, that will actually, and there are like 6 different types of rest, right?
Ooh, another episode.
Right.
I'm counting them all up. Yeah.
So I mean, there's obviously like sleep, but there's social rest, sensory rest, like rest from digital stuff, like screen time rest. And there are probably more, but I am forgetting them off the top.
It's okay. But yeah, we get the idea that it's not just lie down and relax your body. There's a lot that this whole sleep hygiene routine that I've yet to perfect does include, less screen time, and maybe even connection with another person, or some tactile comfort measures that I utilize at the end of every night with my very fuzzy blanket, and my huggy blanket, or my weighted blanket. I got a lot of blankets. But yeah, all those help me to get into the right space for sleep.
Yeah. And it really is. I am a big fan of ritual, and I don't know, maybe they're born with it. Maybe it's neurodivergence, like, but sleep really is, is a habit, right? Yes. And so you have giving yourself a reward, or, putting yourself in the mindset of getting rest, right? So that your body knows, oh, it's time and it's safe.
Yes.
To sleep, right?
Yes.
And lots of neurodivergent folks have actual sleep disorders, or like circadian rhythm disruptions, where you have like a 26-hour day instead of a 24-hour day, and so doing things to make sure you get like sunlight the first hour of your day, or even if the clouds are out, going outside for 20 minutes, right?
Yes. As soon as possible.
Soon as possible. Like, that will actually help your sleep.
Yes, I've been trying that. It really has helped. I was listening to the Huberman podcast, I believe, about putting eyes in the sun as soon as you can, even if it's cloudy, even if it's cold. So I try to drink my coffee out there, multitasking, but still, it has helped. It has helped, I think. And I think if there's a ritual, like you were saying, or an intention, even if my intention in putting my eyes on the sun is to, stimulate my brain and reset the day. And even if my intention in the fuzzy blanket is to create safe space to sleep, that must be part of it too. Just being mindful about it.
Yes, the intention matters. And because you are literally like writing the neural circuitry, for your body to be, okay, in this environment, now I rest. Now this is the time that I do this, right? And also it creates routine. And so it however you want to, define it, it is helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've decided that KJ should come back clearly every week or often. And there's so much to talk about. And you're so wise and fun and funny. And I appreciate you being here. And I have decided that I'm going to reach out to KJ for help for myself. But I bet there's people listening who also will be lining up to talk to you or follow you and all the things. So how could they do that best?
You can find me on the internets at I'm mostly on Instagram professionally.
Okay.
You can find me at Qu'est-ce que c'est KJ, which is, hold on, I wrote this down in my notes so I can see it and spell it.
Okay.
Are you ready for this? It's at QUESTCEQUECESTKJ. And that's yeah, I know.
That's your Instagram handle?
That's my Instagram handle.
Okay, so first of all, anybody listening is not going to be able to remember that. I couldn't even write it fast enough. So
I couldn't even spell it. And I'm noticing that this is a problem.
You might Bitly it or whatever you call it, like shorten that thing. But I'm going to put in the show notes so that people could just click on it.
Okay, but you could also follow me on TikTok at Thembodied, which is much easier to spell and say.
Thembodied. Thank you.
I'm actually also on Instagram at Thembodied, but I feel like there's only one picture on that Instagram because it's a whole story.
Okay.
But
is Thembodied linked to K's?
Yes, it is.
Good. Okay. So we'll find you. We'll find you. Yes. And are there any specific, I guess, offerings or anything you want to share with the neuroqueer community while you have a platform to do so?
I mean, there's so much.
What's your number one call to action other than find you on social media?
Yeah. So follow me. You could also email me. That's a good way to get in touch. If you are interested in working one-on-one, you can email me at KJ, just my name, at jbodyworks.com.
Okay. Again, it will be in the notes. So we are going to follow and hopefully email and continue talking to KJ. And I actually have a new group coaching experience coming up starting on November 7th. I'm doing multi-passionate entrepreneurs and I love that space, but trying to keep ourselves in the flow, valuing rest and pleasure, and then getting out of the whole hustle culture while still doing our very important service oriented social justice, inclusion, heart-centered work. So yeah, we're gonna do that for 7 weeks starting November 7th. So you can reach out to me on that. And yeah, such a pleasure, KJ, seeing you.
Well, thank you so much, Pasha. It was such a delight.
Great.
I am so excited to come back and talk to you in more 15-minute increments.
Which I'm pretty sure we went over, but I will absolutely 100% have you back. So for those that are listening, you can share, like, review, all the things, but do know that you can reach out at any time and say, hey, Pasha, you should neuroqueer about this. I would love the feedback and of course want to build community too. So yay to all of you neuroqueering out there with us. And we look forward to talking soon. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Bye.